Hey there, this is Darcie the Dog Trainer, founder of CommuniCanine Training and Behavioral Counseling, where it's my mission to connect dogs and people. And I'm sharing with you today a little bit about loose leash walking. And it's definitely in the top 3 complaints that clients come to me with. Loose leash walking, no recall, and jumping on people. Those are the 3 most common problems that I get brought to me. So today I want to give you a little bit of information about loose leash walking, how you can stop your dog from pulling, and why you might be having trouble making that happen. So the first thing is there are 3 main reasons why dogs pull. One is they have an opposition reflex, and that means when there's pressure against them, their body, whether it's their neck or somewhere else in their body, their reflex is to actually oppose that pressure, is to go into it and make it worse. The second reason is they got someplace to be. They just want to go somewhere, and you're not walking as fast as they do. They have 4 legs, you have 2. Even a little dog, typically in their natural gait, will walk faster than the average person. Now the third reason, and this is one of the more important ones, is because you let them. Now whatever you allow your dog to do is what you're teaching them to do. And one of the most common mistakes I see, and in particular with people who come to my manners class, where we're teaching loose leash walking, is in the class, they're super consistent. They're following the rules, they're using the strategies that I'm teaching them, but coming to class and leaving class, guess what happens? The dog drags them in and drags them out. All the rules, the owner lets all the rules fall out the window. So teaching your dog to not pull on the leash isn't something that just happens at class and then it naturally transfers over to day-to-day life. It's something that you need to do on a consistent basis every single time you're with your dog. So remember what I just said. What you allow your dog to do is what you are teaching them to do. So when your dog says, hey, there's a bush over there I want to go smell, and he drags you over to it and you follow him, you have just taught him that pulling you really, really hard gets him where he wants to go. So how can we start to teach our dogs not to pull? And with some dogs, it's really easy. With other dogs, even with 100% consistency, it can still be a little bit of a challenge. I've worked with all ends of the spectrum on this. But the simplest thing, now I want you to think in terms of how the dog sees walking on a leash. So it's really simple to teach your dog not to pull if you reframe it to teaching your dog to walk beside you. So the exercise you're going to teach your dog is to walk beside you as opposed to not pulling. Now, do you see the difference here? If all you can think about is that your dog is pulling, all your brain is thinking about is how can I stop the pulling? So you're constantly in a tug-of-war with your dog and in a battle of wills. But if you change the exercise and change the agenda to how can I teach my dog to walk on a loose leash beside me when I walk, doesn't that feel even better? Just to say that, oh my God, wouldn't that be amazing to be able to teach my dog to walk on a loose leash beside me? Now that's something tangible we can start working towards. So to accomplish this, what I want you to start thinking about is when you're out with your dog, and I do use treats for working on loose leash walking with most dogs, is every single time your dog is right where you want him to be, you're going to reward him heavily for that. So every time you're moving and your dog is right beside you, and he doesn't have to be in a perfect heel looking up at you like a beautiful obedience dog or anything, but just beside you, walking nicely, not pulling. You're going to give him feedback for it. So you need to teach your dog how to avoid you pulling back on the leash, but you also need to teach them what you want them to do in place of the behavior you don't like. Okay? So your exercise this week, I want to give you a challenge this week, is, and take your dog, make sure he's motivated for the food. Make sure you take food that's valuable to him. Don't just take his kibble necessarily, unless he has a special diet and that's all he can eat. Take a whole bunch of food with you, go out for your walk, and start rewarding your dog every single time he's beside you. And if he pulls, don't follow him. Stand still or change directions and go the other way. And as soon as he catches up beside you again, reward him again. So just to do a quick demo of the loose leash walking exercise I was just talking about,
The main things to remember is as soon as your dog catches up beside you, you're going to reward them for being there. Now, Sharee's obviously really good on the leash, so I'm going to throw some cookies just to give her something to pull towards. What's this? Ready? So she's going to pull towards the cookies, and if I was walking forward, I would just change directions, go the other way, and good girl. As soon as she catches up beside me, that's a good girl. She gets a cookie. Good girl, that's it. So I'm going to throw some cookies in this direction to give her something to pull towards. Ready? I'm going to change directions, bring her with me, and reward her. Good girl. As soon as she catches up. Excellent. And if she continues to stay beside me, she continues to get rewards. Of course, she's looking for cookies at the moment. Good girl. This way. Good girl. Nice work, Sharee. Good girl. That simple. Just be consistent. Where are you? Good girl. Excellent.
So work with that this week. Feel free to comment below and let me know how things go. And I look forward to seeing you next week.